What if the season you're in isn't meant to break you, but build you? Somewhere between faith, fear, growth, and becoming is where the real conversations happen. This is a space for honesty, healing, purpose, and learning how to walk with God in real life. This is Between Me and Thee.
Hey y'all, I'm your host Danelia, and this is a space where faith is alive, love is loud, and purpose is powerful. Let's get right into it. Our song of the week is Speak to Me by Koryn Hawthorne. And our scripture of the week is Proverbs 23:7. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee. I recently had a conversation with someone in which I expressed that I often tell people to call me D, but in all actuality, I prefer my name, which is Danelia. God used that individual to remind me of how I've been giving people a discount or giving people the easy way out, or making myself easier to digest, right? I have adapted to not being fully acknowledged. To some, it may seem like it's just a name. It's not that important. It's not that relevant. But for me, when people call me D after I've told them my name, it feels like you're saying, I don't care enough to put that much effort into you, right? And just knowing that in some cultures, if we really look at it, in some cultures, in some backgrounds, some ethnicities, all the things, right? The name is like the most significant to a person's identity, right? It is the ultimate thing that their parent decided to really set the foundation for who they would be or who they would become in the world, right? And so though I'm not like of a certain background where it's like we look at the names like that or we dive into it like that, our names do represent a piece of who we are, a piece of our identity, right? I still feel like slightly uncomfortable when people call me my name. I still feel a little bit like, weirded out a little bit, for a better lack of words, but only because I'm not used to being fully received, right? And so I realize now that I've been giving people a discounted version of my identity. You can't expect people to honor a version of you that you don't consistently require. And so even though I correct people who do say my name, or if they say it, or if I know they're about to say it, because I'm so used to people getting it wrong that I'm pleasantly surprised, obviously, when people do get it right. But I'm so used to people getting it wrong that sometimes I don't even give space for people to try, or I don't even consistently require someone to get it right. I just say, just call me D. I give them the easy way out, right? I don't enforce what I desire to be called. I don't enforce what I desire for myself, right? And so once it was revealed to me how I've discounted my identity, it became noticeable in other areas of my life. And I'll give you a prime example. I was doing laundry one day, and full transparency, I was short some money. I was like, I don't have that much money to spare. I don't have that much money to spend. And I was calculating all of my expenses, and I was like, okay, we're gonna have to merge some stuff. We have to put some things together now. And I decided to take a shortcut. I decided to do some mixed loads, some things together. Because currently where I'm at, I have to pay for my laundry, right? It should be illegal, but I have to I have to pay for my laundry, okay? So I was trying to save money, and I attempted to minimize the amount of loads I would do, and my laundry was not done properly. Okay. And so in the end, I ended up having to spend more money anyway to get my laundry done, to do it the correct way. And so I spent more money than I would have spent if I would have originally done it the correct way anyhow. Right? So trying to take the less costly route actually can cost more time, more energy and more peace, okay? Because I was very frustrated that day. I'm talking about wasted my time, wasted the energy I already didn't have, and yes, definitely disturbed my peace. Let me tell y'all, I definitely disturbed my peace. Let me tell y'all what happened. I merged them loads, and one of those washing machines, it filled with water, like the rinse cycle, it filled, and it did not get rid of the water. It didn't wash the load. The water was still sitting there. My clothes were completely soaked in water, no spin cycle, right? And I had to put them in a completely different washer. So I had to pay for another wash. And matter of fact, I had to pay for more than one because I had to, split the clothing in half. I had to split the clothes in half. So I ended up having to pay more out of pocket than I would have paid if I just would have did it right the first time. Okay, so I started thinking about discounts in general. Usually when something is marked down in stores, it's either not the full quality, not in the original condition, or they're trying to get rid of it, right? You know how if you go into a store and you see the clearance section, there may be something wrong with it. It may be out of season, out of style, whatever the case may be, depending on the store. Or they just may not be selling it anymore, So now I have to ask myself, why have I been presenting myself like I'm on clearance? Okay, not just in relation to my name, but as it relates to my gifts, my skills, how I show up in rooms, right? What I accept and what I don't ask for. Okay, because when you begin to realize that you are a person that you don't enforce certain things in your life, or you don't enforce certain boundaries or things, whatever the case, you don't require much from others as it relates to yourself. Because when you look at yourself, sometimes the people who do that, we are more considerate of others and less considerate of ourselves, right? And so I'm not generally a person that asks for much from people, right? I don't expect much, and it can be a result of disappointment in life. It can be a result of being let down, or people who have not showed up, or feeling like you didn't get what you needed in another season, in another time, growing up, whatever the case may be. That's what can be this as an adult. Can be the result of that, of the lack of what you needed, or the support, or or the neglect, the rejection that you may have received, right? Those can all be the reason behind becoming an adult and feeling like I don't need to require much of anybody, because they're not going to show up in the way that I need them to anyway, or playing it small even when you have what it takes for whatever you are being asked to do, being in rooms and feeling like you don't qualify, or you don't look like everybody else in the room, or having those big ideas, those things that may work for what someone is looking for, but not speaking up because you feel like there is someone else in the room who may have more or better than what you can offer, right? And so I've downplayed what I know I carry, shrinking my ideas so they don't feel too big for others, or holding back so I don't make others uncomfortable. I do believe that that oftentimes I am a person that will try to create space to highlight others more, to support others more, or I just generally don't always feel as confident or as bold when it comes to my own things. But I will root for others, and I will hype others, and I will push others forward, right? And so I've given more than I should at times, and I've showed up at full capacity, but presented small. So I've came in the room, I've had what I needed, I've had the mindset, I've had the confidence, I've had the things that I needed, but played it small when there were others in the room, or played it small. And that can actually also be a form of intimidation, right? And I can't say that I've always been intimidated necessarily, but I've always felt, I felt most times that I don't belong in a room, Or because sometimes we can look at our own background, our own life, our credentials, or lack of credentials, right? Sometimes we can look at what we may not have on our resume, what we may not have as it relates to education, what we may not have as it relates to experience. And even if God has given us the gift, the skill, the talent, whatever it is, if God has given us that and we're great at that, we can still discount ourselves because we feel like, well, I don't have the credentials, I don't have the resume, I don't have the references, right? But God gave it to you. And so that's the only credential, that's the only resume, that's the only reference that matters, right? It matters the most, actually, right? And so sometimes we downplay ourselves, we downplay what God has given us, and we play it small. But what I didn't realize is every time I downplayed what I carry, I was agreeing with a version that God never created. I was agreeing with a version of me that God never created for me. And that's what really convicted me, because it was one thing when people undervalue me, right? It's one thing when people undervalue who you are, undervalue or undervalue who you are and undervalue what you possess, right? But it's another thing when you start participating in it. When you become a participant in the undervaluing of yourself. When you become a participant in diminishing what you carry, diminishing what you have, diminishing who God has called you to be and what God has given you. So now the question isn't just, is it worth the discount? Instead, what is it costing me to keep offering one? So think on that. Think on that. And I actually want you to take the time to think on that question. What is it costing me to keep offering a discount? And I want you to write down an answer, and even you can even write down that question and add something to it. You can ask yourself, what is it costing me to offer a discount on who I am? What is it costing me to offer a discount on the services I offer? What is it costing me to offer a discount on how I show up in the room? What is it costing me to offer a discount in operating in what God has called me to? What is it costing me to keep offering the discount? Remember that. Keep that in mind. Go think about it. Go write it down. Go pray on it. If you are the person who is discounting the value that God is setting you, what God has given you, the gift that he's giving you, what he's called you to operate in. If you are that person who is being a discount, who is a walking discount, who is offering the discount when you shouldn't be, go pray on that God will help you to show up with the full potential, the full value, and operate fully in it, walk fully in it, and, charge the full price. Charge the full price. Charge the price. The price is the price. Okay? Show up today. I love you. Don't be a discount. Don't be a discount. Be who God called you to be. Love you. Bye.
This is a space for honesty, healing, purpose, and learning how to walk with God in real life. This is Between Me and Thee.